I want to start a new series where I look at the best of a specific character in comics. And you know I had to start off with my favorite comic book character of all time. And we are, of course, talking about Batman. So, come with me on this journey where I talk about the best of Batman. So let's get started. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Geek City. And if you want me to continue this series, list some characters down below in the comments that you'd love to see. Of course, I can do Spider-Man, probably. Spider-Man will probably be my next one just because I also have to look at how many books are under that character. Spider-Man, Superman, Daredevil, X-Men, those type of characters. The ones that I own a lot of stuff that I've been reading for years. And yeah, man, so I'm going to go through all of the different formats here, whether it's absolute or omnibuses. And this isn't everything, obviously. There are so many great Batman stories, but I just really wanted to do a long, in-depth review talking about some of the best Batman out there. Hardcovers, omnibuses, absolutes, all that stuff will be featured in this video. I kind of have it in chronological format by, so you'll have all of the trade paperbacks and hardcovers in, chronological order. Then I'll look at the hardcovers, and I only picked two. I picked my two favorite Batman omnibuses that I own. I don't own a lot of them. In fact, my next upcoming video after this is posted will be a every Batman omnibus video. It took me hours to put together. I believe there are around 40-something Batman omnibuses, and I have it all in a slideshow, and I'm going to go through that, and I'd love to start that series with any character, because I don't have to own the books. I can just tell you about all the information, so, just stay tuned for that. So, let's not waste any more time and get straight into the best of Batman. So, of course, the first book I gotta talk about is where I suggest starting Batman. Is Batman Year One. I've talked about before where my DC universe, where I started reading Batman, is Crisis on Infinite Earths and everything after that, because that's when I feel like we get into the modern form of storytelling, and everything before that. You have some great books in there, but just overall, not my cup of tea. But Batman Year One is the starting off point for Batman. And this is just a random trade paperback that I own. I want to get, this is a series that I love so much that I want to get either the DC Finest book, which collects this Batman Year 2, which yes I do own, but Batman Year 2 will not be on this list because it is not one of the best of Batman. But that DC Finest collects this Year 2 and then a ton of other iconic Batman stories that I don't own and I really need. So I'd either want to get that trade, which is big, or the Absolute, because I don't own a lot of Absolutes, but that's one I'd like to get because I do love this story so much. So yes, this is Batman Year One, written by Frank Miller and art by David Mazzucchelli. What can I say about this book that hasn't been said before? It's so iconic. It's, telling the origin story of Batman in 4 parts, collecting Batman Year 1 through 4, basically, and just saying it from the perspective of mainly Commissioner Gordon. If you're a big fan of Commissioner Gordon, you want to know where to start reading, you start that here. It gives you the introduction of Batman, Jim Gordon, of course, Catwoman, Falcone. I mean, obviously, this is the best place to start reading Batman, for sure. It doesn't get any better than here. I love this series. And this has, I believe, the new colors in it, which I actually prefer. I prefer these new colors. And it has fantastic artwork in it, so that's always a plus. You gotta have Batman's origin story, but of course you have to have the Clown Prince of Crime's origin story. Or not really origin, but introduction, and that can be found in Batman, The Man Who Laughs, written by Edward Baker. This isn't an origin story per se, but it's the introduction of Batman or Batman and Joker in a modern light. So Edward Baker, who is a fantastic crime writer who wrote Gotham Central or GCPD, whatever it's called. He wrote Daredevil. A lot of great crime-centric books, and this is of course a great, more modern introduction to the Joker. So if you want to read how Joker and Batman first met, but in a you don't read the Golden Age stuff, this is where you get that. Great artwork. It's only 2 issues, and this trade also collects a couple of other stuff with, I believe, Green Lantern. Yeah, you get an issue with that, the Alan Green Lantern. Yeah, this is a really fun story. He tries to poison Gotham's water supply, so, and that is of course Long Halloween and Dark Victory, both written by powerhouse comic duo Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. These two, I would argue, are kind of like year 3 and year 4 of Batman. I know, obviously, again, there's year 2 and year 3, which came out in the 80s, but I haven't read year 2. It's not very good. Haven't read year 3. I guess I need to do that, but these were, I'd say, really where you get the introduction there. You get, both are incredible mysteries. One of them is about someone killing people on holidays, killing members of the Falcone and Maroni family. You get the introduction of Two-Face in here, the origin story of Two-Face. It's great. Great mystery. And then you get the follow-up, Dark Victory, which is the introduction of Robin. You have cops being murdered. So both mysteries, and they're both fantastic. They go hand in hand. You gotta read one. You gotta read Long Halloween, then you gotta go straight into Dark Victory. And these are very much early year Batman stories, and it gives you the introduction of iconic characters like Two-Face and Robin, so. Okay, but next up I gotta talk about Batman Hush. This is a story that I've been reading my whole life. Like, this is one of the few that this is one of my granddad's favorite stories, so he bought me this trade, and I've, seen the terrible movie, and I've been reading this book on ebooks my whole life. I only got the trade paperback here. So this is Batman Hush. By Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee, excuse me. Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee. Jim Lee is one of the best artists out there, and we are getting a sequel to this. I believe the first issue has come out. It's a lot of fun. This is the mystery of this new villain named Hush. If you want to see a story that features all of Batman's rogues gallery, this is the one for you. You get incredible artwork in here. You get to see Riddler, Joker, Poison Ivy, Catwoman, Superman, Harley Quinn, Killer Croc. I mean, everybody shows up in this book. It's incredible. Hush is a really great villain. Next up, we have Batman Under the Red Hood. Jason Todd, was killed pretty brutally. And I almost considered putting Death in the Family on there, but I decided, I had too many books, I couldn't talk about that one. But this is the reintroduction of Jason Todd as the Red Hood, where it's this mystery of who is the Red Hood. He's taken out criminals in his own way. You get Black Mask in here, Joker. Really brutal story, really heartbreaking, having to decide, Batman having to decide, is Red Hood right? And, having to fight against someone he looked at as a son. It's a really heartbreaking story. Where Red Hood forgives Batman for the whole not being able to rescue him, but it's about the fact that he's kept people like the Joker alive. And sometimes, you gotta agree with, Red Hood about this type of stuff. Sometimes I do. I mean, so much stuff has gone, terrible because of people like the Joker, and so Red Hood takes that to his own hands in this incredible book, Batman Under the Red Hood. Next up, we have the first 2 volumes of Batman New 52. New 52, Batman is great, but I specifically wanted to give a mention to, I think, the best part of it, the first 12 issues, and that is the Court of Owls storyline. So you have Batman, the Court of Owls, Volume 1, collecting 1 through 7, where Batman's essentially, finding out that there's this Court of Owls, this cult, who's been around and running Gotham for years and kind of manipulating things behind the scenes. And there's this idea that Batman has of, I've been doing this for years, and how have they just been able to do all this stuff without me knowing. And then you have Volume 2, where they attack Batman at his lair. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, I really dug this story. It was a lot of fun. But this one also has some other random issues in here. This one has a story with Mr. Freeze as well. But these two books go hand in hand, doing the Court of Owls saga. And it is really good. I want to move into Batman Rebirth, which I know Tom King's run on Batman's kind of, hit or miss sometimes. But, the first 3 volumes are great. I think once you get into the wedding and everything, it kind of falls apart. But those first 3 volumes are really, really good. I love the mystery here involving Psycho Pirate. It's very psychedelic. You have the first volume here, I Am Gotham, where you get these 2 new characters of Gotham and Gotham Girl, and having to, getting manipulated by Psycho Pirate and Amanda Waller. And you get Volume 2, which takes place after that, which is what gives Amanda Waller the idea of the Suicide Squad, where Batman, Catwoman, and a bunch of other, C-list Batman villains have to go on a mission to stop Bane. And that's when you get I Am Bane, which is a brutal, brutal, brutal story where Bane comes to Gotham, takes out a ton of Batman's close side characters, and they have to have this really brutal fight at Arkham. Both of them just going at it with each other. And it's great storytelling. And Volume 2 is also where you get the Catwoman and Batman romance really starting to kick in. Let's talk about the run that has just wrapped up. And that is, of course, Batman by Chip Zdarsky. I have really dug Chip Zdarsky. I thought his Daredevil run was incredible. I love what he did with Public Identity down there in the image section. Great writer, good artist, and this was his run on Batman. I was really excited because I was like, oh my gosh, the dude who wrote one of the best Daredevil runs is doing Batman. And I really, really enjoyed this first volume, Failsafe, where Batman essentially, it's kind of like a sequel to Tower of Babel if you think about it, where you had this Failsafe, like, robot kind of going nuts and more stuff about, contingency plans kind of going wrong. I do think after this run, after this volume, which collects the first 5 issues of his run, I think after that it kind of, I liked the Batman Spider-Verse type thing where you get all these different movie versions and comic versions of Batman interacting with our main universe Batman. I thought that was fun. Let's talk about the 2 omnibuses that I chose. So first up we have Batman by Grant Morrison Omnibus Volume Run. I really enjoy all 3 of these runs. All 3 of the Grant Morrison omnibuses, but I only wanted to put the first one just because it's the starting one. This is my favorite out of the 3, because this is when you get the introduction of Damian Wayne, Batman's biological son. And so you get their relationship having to grow as, Damian Wayne was raised by the League of Assassins, so it's very difficult for Batman to be able to raise Damian. And you get stuff with like this army of Man-Bats and setting up Batman Incorporated. Volume 2 and 3 are really fun. That's when you get like Nightwing and Damian having to team up in Volume 2. Then Volume 3 is when you get Batman Inc. and the death of a certain DC character. But Volume 1 specifically, I really dug this one. I love this one a lot. It was really good. And then the other Batman omnibus I wanted to talk about is one from the New 52 run. One of my favorites. And that is, of course, Batman and Robin by Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason. This is a biggie here, man. This collects a lot of stuff. It kind of is difficult to read just throughout by itself because it kind of flips and flops where you get, like, some stuff before Grant Morrison's end of his run, and then you kind of have to, like, read a couple issues of this, and then go read Grant Morrison, go read Scott Snyder, then come back to this. So it's a little difficult to just read back and forth, but if you've read it all, then you won't have a problem. I loved this story. Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason are another great comic duo. They did Superman Rebirth, which I loved. They did Green Lantern. I really enjoyed that one. And this is the father and son story. And I really dug it. Damian Wayne and Batman together. And spoiler alert, like halfway through this book, spoilers, Damian Wayne dies, and you have to see the second half where Batman's doing everything he can to bring his son back. And it's a really powerful story. And I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think this is a great omnibus. There are so many Batman omnibuses. I only own 4. I need to get a couple more, and they've released a lot recently. And then finally, well, no, not finally, there's more. But I did really, really quickly want to talk about the only absolute that I own. I own only one. I need to get more. I know they're really expensive, and I don't have enough room because like these shelves are not long enough. They're not long enough to hold these. I have to put them up here. But this is Absolute Killing Joke. I told myself I wouldn't buy any absolutes just because of space and money. Like, these things are like $150 for a couple issues. Like, they're pretty big. But this one, I was at a comic shop, and they had this thing. One of the best stories of all time. One of the best comic books of all time. Not just Batman, this is one of the best comic books of all time. And it was $75. Or no, it was $50. It was on sale. And I was like, you know what? I'll get rid of my deluxe edition of Killing Joke. And I will buy my first Absolute. And I read the Absolute. And I loved it. I love the Absolute format now. Because you're getting like this artwork and incredible. So now I want more Absolutes. Which is going to be a problem because of space and money. But I would only buy ones for stories that I love or that have great artwork. So this is Batman. The Absolute Batman the Killing Joke. Again, one of the best stories out there. And this is a really thin one. It collects the 4 issues of Batman the Killing Joke. But it also has both the new colors and the original. So if you prefer the old colors, you get that, but you also get the new colors. So whichever one you prefer, you can read it. And it gets a ton of like background info. And this design is gorgeous, man. Like the camera quality, like the camera strips and everything. I really need to get some more absolutes now, even though that's gonna be a problem for money reasons. But I'm gonna do it. I guess now I gotta collect more of these things because this is a fantastic story by Alan Moore. Brutal, changed the status quo of Batman because of what happens to Batgirl in here, and there was always debate about if this was in the main canon because people thought Joker was murdered by Batman at the end, but he wasn't. It was kind of hinted at, and now it's been confirmed by this point that this is canon, and it's incredible. So do this a favor. So really quickly, I wanted to talk about some non-canon Batman stories that I think are really good. So basically, these are all Elseworld Batman stories. If you don't know what Elseworld is, it's any story that takes place in another universe. So first up, Batman: The Dark Knight Returns. Everybody knows about this story. This is an iconic book, and this is by Frank Miller. And this came out like a year before before year one. So it's like he wrote the old Batman and then the young Batman. So this is, I mean, everybody knows what this story is. This is one of the best graphic novels of all time by most people. I don't love it like most people do, but I still think you need to read this. It's incredible, just on just how it reinvented Batman. It's interesting because this book, along with like Sandman and The Killing Joke, are and Watchmen. Like I'd say like this, Watchmen, Sandman, and The Killing Joke are probably the 4 comic books that I would say are looked at as some of the best books of all time. Not best comics, best books. That's how iconic some of these stories are. So this is an old Batman in an alternate universe having to come back to Gotham after, the crimes increased. There's a lot of types of stories like this, and I love them, where you have a character that's kind of, quit or broken, having to come back and rise up and take back his city. Like Daredevil Born Again, which is going on right now. Love that book. So this is The Dark Knight Returns. Next up, I want to talk about Batman White Knight. This is part of the DC Black Label line, and I really, really love this book, where it's basically, what if Joker went sane? What if he got his humanity back? It's written and illustrated by Sean Murphy. Great artist, really good writer. I do think White Knight went on for a little too long. They did three different offshoots of this, like Curse of the White Knight, which I do own Curse of the White Knight. I haven't read it. I read this one. And then they did Beyond the White Knight, and they did a Harley Quinn one, and there's a lot. I think you just need to read this one first and then see if you want to continue it. But this story is great. Seeing Batman going a little too far, beating Joker a little too much, causing him to, get his sanity back. And it's a great story, man. It's really weird. If you want a more darker take on Batman in a different universe, this is one I suggest. And then we have Batman Earth 1. DC Earth 1 was kind of an interesting line where you had Batman, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern, which I think were really good. I've read Green Lantern on an ebook. I don't own it, and then I own Wonder Woman and Batman, and they're all pretty good. And then Superman is Teen Titans is bad, and I kind of wanted to see this Earth 1 continue. I really was digging Earth 1, but this is Batman Earth 1, which I think was the best out of all the Earth 1 books. Jeff Johns, Gary Frank, who are again another great duo. I love Gary Frank's artwork. I love Jeff Johns' writing. So this is an alternate universe collecting all 3 volumes of Batman Earth 1. So you can see alternate versions of Catwoman. I love this version of Killer Croc. I like this version of Alfred a lot. He's really tough. Man, Killer Croc is actually really sad in this book. What they do with Killer Croc, I really dig that. You get Two-Face in here. Or not Two-Face, excuse me. But, yeah. I really dug this one. It's really good. So check it out if you haven't. It's really good. Alright, the last, I want to talk about Batman Arkham Unhinged, Volumes 1 and 2. This is, if you're a fan of the Batman Arkham games, you need to read this series. This is a tie-in that took place before Batman Arkham City. I have not read any of the Arkham Knight tie-ins, and they did reprint the Arkham Omnibus. But this is Arkham City, Volumes 1 and 2, basically just telling you about some of the events that take place before Arkham City. And I really dug it. I suggest this if you're a fan of the Arkham games and you want to know what kind of set these books up. They're pretty fun. So, that is all of the Batman that I chose here. The best of Batman, in my opinion. Let me know in the comment sections what stories you would add. There are so many. I could do a part 2, honestly. Let me know what characters you'd like to see for the series. Again, we are getting really close to being able to be monetized. I have to get 1,000 subscribers. I'm like at 860 right now. And I need like 4,000 watch time hours. And if I'm able to start getting monetized, the quality of the channel will increase a lot. I'll be able to buy new equipment. I'll be able to buy more books to review and do more videos of that matter. And so if you want to help, you don't have to, but please consider liking and subscribing and keep watching and commenting and all that. So I hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, stay geeky.